More good news for this Ohio State defense. I mean, does the good news stop for everything that they got going on for them right now? This Ohio State defense has been absolutely dominant this season. They are up there in like the amazing levels of holding teams to very few points. I believe this last weekend they just joined a group of 3 teams that held teams to less than 17 points in their first 8 games of the season. All 3 of those teams before them went on to win the national championship. 2 Alabama squads and the Michigan squad from 2023. For Ohio State to be able to have this kind of dominance with their defense after losing all the draft picks that they lost and bringing in a new defensive coordinator with Jim Knowles not having the success at Penn State, it really shows just how talented this team is and how much development has been going on for this Ohio State defensive unit. Now, there was one player this offseason that everybody was expecting to be a star player of this team. He had sat behind JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer for years, and there was always the thought process, there was always the hype about this guy being able to rush the passer and really get after it, get to the quarterback. And we have seen players get to the quarterback this season, but we weren't really recognizing this player in the first few games, right? We saw Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles has been doing a good job of getting after the quarterback. Caden Curry leads the Big Ten. I believe he still leads the Big Ten in sacks right now. Well, Anthony Smith may have passed him. Anyway, but he is a very, very ferocious pass rusher going into the backfield and taking down the quarterback. Joining that group the past few games has been Kenyatta Jackson, number 97 for this Ohio State squad. He's quietly become one of the best pass rushers on the team, and that's really saying something when you have guys like Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, Arvell Reese, guys like that on the squad. The scariest thing is when Ohio State and Matt Patricia choose to line up Kenyatta Jackson and Arvell Reese together on the edge, because you really have no idea what you are going to be able to do against these guys. The tackle has to make a decision. The guard has to be outmatched. It is a very, very advantageous scenario for Ohio State to be able to go after. And we've seen it in the numbers these past few games as Kenyatta Jackson in the past 4 games that he has played. He did play against Minnesota, but that was one of those games where he got injured early on. I believe he only played like 10 snaps in that game or something. But before that game, the Washington game, and the 3 after that Minnesota game, he has recorded at least 1 sack according to PFF. Now, I think technically it's like 3.5 sacks or something, but he's recorded at least a half of a sack in every single one of the last 4 games outside of Minnesota that he has played. It's a really good development for Kenyatta Jackson. It shows just how good of a player he is, and it shows how much this Ohio State coaching staff is listening to their players and putting them in advantageous situations, because early on in the season, Kenyatta Jackson did get injured, but when he started coming back and he started being more of a factor for this team and not being limited as much, you saw him being able to get after the quarterback a little bit more. But there were some issues with some missed tackles in those first 3 games against Texas, Ohio, and Grambling State. He had 4 missed tackles in those first 3 games of the season. And one of the reasons why was because he was being a little bit more cagey, as some Ohio State beat writers and fans will put it, with his pass rush. And what that essentially means is that he would pass rush, but he would kind of stay on the perimeter, making sure the quarterback, or if it's a draw with a running back, doesn't get outside of the contain of the pocket. So that way they're not out there making a whole bunch of plays and really hurting the Ohio State secondary. Instead, Kenyatta Jackson went to Matt Patricia and Ryan Day and said, look, I want to get after the quarterback. I feel more confident when I'm getting after the quarterback. Please put me in those situations that I can really go hard after the quarterback, make a play, get a sack, and really fire up my team. Well, Matt Patricia and Ryan Day, they listened. And in their press conferences on Wednesday night, they were talking about this, talking about how just Kenyatta Jackson has so much more confidence now. He's playing with so much more confidence. He's doing the thing that he feels like he is out there to do. And if anybody has played football before, you know that confidence is such a huge thing for you. Not only confidence in yourself, but confidence in your teammates, confidence in the scheme as well. It makes you such a different player. And it's why Kenyatta Jackson hadn't missed a tackle until this past week against Penn State, because he was playing with so much more confidence in the scheme and what they're allowing him to do. It's a huge piece of this Ohio State defense. I mean, like I said, you already have Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caden McDonald, all these guys on the defensive line. It makes the defensive line look almost better than it was last year, which is kind of crazy. I still think last year's defensive line was probably better, especially with what they showed in the playoffs, but if this defensive line is able to do some of the things that last year's defensive line was able to do in the playoffs, it'll be hands down. This is the better defensive line. We just need to see it in some of those big games, right? Not to say Ohio State hasn't played big games, but in some of these bigger games at the end of the season, Michigan, the playoff games, stuff like that, it's going to be imperative that Ohio State comes out with their hair on fire and really destroying the offensive lines in front of them. They're going to have every opportunity to do it. This Ohio State team is definitely going to the college football playoffs. Really, the only thing they really have left in front of them is Indiana for the Big Ten championship. Even if Michigan beats them, they're most likely making the championship or the college football playoffs after that. And so this team has so much to play for at this point. The defense looks so dynamic, so good, and Kenyatta Jackson looks so much more free and confident. I would not be surprised to see him be yet another high draft round, high first, second round pick for this Ohio State team in the NFL draft. They are absolutely loaded this season. It really speaks to the development of this team, the patience of the players to be willing to stick around and kind of wait it out. There's just so many good things to say about this Ohio State defense and what they do right now and how they utilize their players and like I said, advantageous situations. Matt Patricia coming in and being more of a kind of player's coach a little bit. Sometimes it doesn't always work out being a player's coach, but coming in and being more of a player's coach, you see him after practice talking to players a whole lot more, interacting with players a whole lot more, kind of getting their vibes of what they're thinking and what's going on for them. It's a really, really important factor of being a good position coach or coordinator, especially in college football nowadays with so many players making so much money, and for them to just kind of rest on that instead. They have the connections to other brothers on their team. They have the connection with their coach to be able to go out there. And when their coach says, yeah, I hear you on whatever this might be, pass rush, whatever this situation might be, and I'm going to put you in more of those situations for you to be able to go out there, show your talents, show your abilities. And it really seems to be speaking to Kenyatta Jackson right now. So, hate to say it if you're not an Ohio State fan, but this Ohio State defense just got scarier with this star and Kenyatta Jackson being unleashed, the star being born. Being born, he was supposed to always kind of be a star this season with his pass rushing ability. And even though he didn't live up to it necessarily in the first few games, he's starting to live up to it now. Great news for Kenyatta Jackson. Great news for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Ohio State Buckeye fans, let me know your thoughts on Kenyatta Jackson. Who do you think is the best pass rusher on this Ohio State defense? Is it Arvell Reese? Is it Kenyatta Jackson? Is it Caden Curry? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Appreciate you being here. Have a good one.